All right, guys, what's going on? It's your boy, a typical security guard. Just got the haircut, got the beard trimmed. Took about 10 years off the look. And now I am heading back to the crib. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday. It's so beautiful right now here in Portland. Last couple of days, it's been kind of overcast. And, you know, when you work as many hours as I do, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because, you know, I'm not really outside very much anyway. I go to work and it's dark. I get off and it's dark. So although I tend to say that it really doesn't matter, on days like today when it's really nice out, I absolutely love it. So I want to talk about a situation that I put up in my community post yesterday. And it was an 80-year-old man who had an interesting gun setup situation going on. And I'm often reminded, generally on the back end, that no one wants my advice, right? Jack Spade Productions, you're saying, what's up, man? How's it going, dude? I hope you're doing well. I'm often reminded at the end of the day on the backside of a situation that nobody wants my advice. So let me give you guys the setup. I'm working, retail location, and an older guy, clearly like in his late 70s to early 80s. I mean, this guy was elderly, right? So I noticed him walk into the store, and he has what looks to be a Hi-Point C9. And if anybody knows anything about Hi-Points, they are unnecessarily clunky. They're big, they're like a brick, right? And they're really heavy. So this older guy, he's got this Hi-Point C9, and he's got it in this like really flimsy nylon holster. It's one of those holsters that you just get off of Amazon that can fit any gun, right? It's not a, sorry for the shaking, it's not a specific holster to any type of firearm. It's just like a random holster. And then on top of that, my man is wearing this on like a leather weave belt that you would wear with like some Dockers. I mean, it's like a dress belt. It's not a gun belt. There's no retention to it. It's just like a leather weave dress belt, okay? And then to top it off, the creme de la creme of the entire situation, my man is wearing this in a 6 o'clock outside the waistband position. So if any of you are not aware, 6 o'clock is directly behind your back. Outside the waistband means that it's visible in that it is on the outside of the waistband. He's got his shirt tucked in. So there's a lot of, sorry for the bouncing here, guys. I'm in a big truck and I'm on a bad road here in Portland. I will be through all of this shaking and bouncing here in a second, but just stick with me for a second, okay? So we're in a bad area. There's homeless people everywhere. They've basically created an encampment right outside of where I work. So at any given time, there's anywhere from 15 to 30 homeless people that are just doing drugs, loitering, laying down on the ground, like overdosing, whatever. I mean, it's crazy. So I see this guy. We got a ton of cops coming through here. It's the backdrop of Portland, guys. So I see the guy come in. I see this janky setup, and I'm like, what in the heck is going on? Now, you know, you always kind of run through this scenario in your head, like, is it your place to say something to another person? Everybody who wants to carry, if they're carrying legal, you know, I'm a two-way advocate, so I support that. I definitely support people being armed for their own protection, but at the same time, like, this is a clearly unsafe situation. The Hi-Point is like leaning off the side of his back. It's in a 6 o'clock position. He doesn't seem to be very aware of what's going on. I mean, it's just a bad situation all the way around. Now, while he's in the store, I don't say anything, you know, let the guy have a shopping experience. And some people had asked if in Oregon, if we have open carry here in Oregon. We do, but we have a very strange open carry law. Our law in Oregon says that you can open carry, and that is an open carry state. However, each city and municipality can modify that to their liking. So basically, on paper, Oregon is an open carry state, but they leave it to any city, Portland, this is a Portland law, that they can modify that however they want. Portland has said that you can only, get this is where the lunacy of where I live comes into play. Portland says that you can only open carry if you have a concealed carry license. And if you don't have a concealed carry license, you can still open carry just so long as your firearm is not loaded, and the magazine, if you have a loaded magazine, it has to be out of the firearm. Okay, let me get this straight again. You can open carry in Oregon by law. However, it can be modified based on the city that you're in. Portland has said that you can open carry a pistol as long as you have a concealed carry license. And that's what's crazy to a lot of people. And if you don't have a concealed carry license, you can still open carry as long as the gun is unloaded and you have a magazine detached and away from the firearm. Welcome to Portland. Oh yeah, on the flip side, anybody and everybody can carry a machete, a knife, a piece of rebar, a broken bottle. There's no knife restrictions in Oregon. The only restriction is that it can't be concealed. So if you have a handle exposed, you're good to go. And that means that people routinely carry machetes, routinely carry pieces of rebar, they carry swords, they carry dirks, daggers, all kinds of things. And that's why people get stabbed all the time here. It's literally called Stab Town. So that's the backdrop. I don't say anything to the guy while he's in the store. He goes outside. I'm still kind of apprehensive about saying anything to the guy, but he's parked directly across from our store. And when he goes over there, this is that area that has the 15 to 30 homeless people. And this guy's like going through his paperwork in his passenger side, like outside the passenger side door. So I'm on one sidewalk. He's across the street at another sidewalk, getting into the passenger side of his vehicle, and he's just going through papers, you know, living life, not thinking about anything, oblivious to everything. And you've got these 15 to 30 homeless people that have created this encampment that are all doing drugs, that are, you know, just, you know what I mean, right? Not a safe environment. And this guy has his gun at 6 o'clock in this janky holster and this janky belt. Now it's a high point. If somebody would have taken it, it's a high probability that the gun wouldn't have fired. So maybe we were all safe and we didn't really realize it. But I said to myself, you know what? And it's an older black guy, right? It's an old black man. He could have been my grandpa. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to have him in a bad situation. I'm going to say something to him. So I'm like, sir, you know, try and get his attention, but I'm sure he can barely hear me. After 17 sirs, he turns around, he looks at me and he goes, what? And I said, sir, can I just, you know, I'm not trying to bother you. Can I just offer you just a piece of advice here? I'm looking at your setup. I said, you're going away at your back. You can't even, you know, you can't even really see it. And he looks down and he turns and he looks at me and he starts walking right towards me. And he goes, is this what you want? And he grabs for the gun and he pulls it to the side. Like, you know, now it's at 3 o'clock. And I'm like, hey, you know what I mean? Like for a second, I'm like, what the fuck, right? So he pulls it to 3 o'clock and he's like, don't bother me. Don't bother me. You leave me alone. He goes, look at your gun. You got a gun? Look at your gun. You got a gun? I got a gun. And so I'm like, oh, this was a bad idea. I'm like, this whole situation's about to go left. And God forbid this goes where I think it might go, right? So I'm just like, man, you gotta be kidding me. So I'm doing this. I'm like, sir, it's fine. I'm like, you know what? You're fine. You got it. So my partner, he's like watching this whole thing and he goes, sir, have you ever just thought to maybe wear it concealed? And he goes, I'm an open carry. You open carrying right now. You open carrying? I'm open carrying. You know why? He goes, I'm 80 years old. I ain't gonna have some motherfucker punch me in my head and knock me out. I want everybody to see it. And when they see it, they respect it. And they know I ain't the one. And I'm like, and so me and my partner, we're both like, okay, look, this was a bad idea. We're sorry we said anything. And he's literally like 5 feet away from us. We're backing up. We're kind of like blading off to the side, right? You know, two things that stuck out to me. Number one, everybody in the vicinity was oblivious. This dude's got this janky High Point now at 3 o'clock, this janky High Point. He's screaming and yelling. Everybody's just walking by. People in Portland, so oblivious. They're walking in between us and the dude. They're on their phones. No one's paying attention to what this guy's doing. No one's picking up on the fact that he's screaming and yelling and he's got this gun hanging off his hip, right? And so we're like, hey, sir, sorry we said anything. You know what? You're absolutely right. I just started agreeing with everything. You got yours open carry. I got mine open carry. I want everybody to see it. They see it. They know what's up. I'm like, yep. Yes, sir. Nope. I got it. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. And he keeps reaching towards his hip. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, you know what, Damien? You put yourself in this situation. You want to be helpful. You think that you're helping everybody. You think that you're like, you know, doing these good deeds. And people don't want to hear it. On the community tab, on this same question, somebody, I'm sorry I didn't get your name, somebody put in the community tab, he was like, I'm past the point of trying to offer advice and trying to help people because no one wants to hear it. They only get upset. They only get offended. They only feel like you're talking down to them. No one's ever like, oh my God, you know what? I never thought of that. Thank you. There's that guy, what's his name? Instructor Mike. There's a guy on YouTube. He's got like 1.2 million followers, and he's a firearms instructor. And he literally walks up behind police officers. He walks up behind security guards. He walks up behind people that are open carrying, and he'll like touch their gun. I don't know if he's ever grabbed somebody's gun, but he just does some real like reckless shit. But in his mind, in his defense, what he says that he's doing is showing people how easily their gun can be taken from them, how unaware they are of their surroundings. I get it. I think that that's noble. I think that it's crazy how he does it. And I don't know if he talks to these people beforehand and kind of sets it up or if it's legit, but you know, it seems like a really good way to get shot. But then again, I felt like I put myself in a very easy situation where I could have gotten shot because this guy was not trying to hear it. The fact that we questioned him at all, and clearly he was either just over the bullshit of life or senile, it wasn't registering to him as anything positive. So the moral of my story is, well, let me ask you this. Let's not make it a moral of the story. I think we all get the moral of the story, but do you have an obligation as a private security guard, if you're working in this capacity, and someone comes into your establishment and they have their firearm in an unsafe manner? If you're working private security at that location, do you have an obligation to say something about the unsafe nature in which they are carrying their firearm? That would be my question to you guys. I think that we do. Aside from the fact that, like, society-wise, people don't want to hear it, I do think that if you're in charge of the safety of a location, you do have an obligation to say something. But how much of that do you bounce against the potential issue of someone taking it the wrong way? You know, if you see somebody that comes in, I've had two people, probably within the last 6 months, two people that came into our location that had firearms just in their pocket. Firearms in their pocket with extended magazines. Like, do you say anything in that situation? Because they were throwing all the red flags of a certain demographic that could be problematic. Let's just say that, without stereotyping people. But at the same time, like, that should be a clear signal for you working in security that this should be someone that you're aware of. Man, I could do a whole podcast or a whole breakdown on threat indicators and things that are seemingly like insignificant, which would be how someone's carrying their firearm, how that could be a very bright red flag as to someone's potential to display violence. People that are carrying their firearms in weird ways, that signals that they're either A, uneducated, B, they're reckless, right? Or C, they might have nefarious intentions. Your gun owner who was educated, who was an advocate for the Second Amendment, who is normalized to carrying a firearm, they do certain things in terms of how they carry those firearms. People that engage in certain types of behavior, criminal behavior, gang behavior, or unsafe behavior, tend to violate certain rules of gun carrying. And I think that needs to be addressed when you're working in a capacity of protecting a location, because there could be a great reason of indication as to why that person is doing what they're doing. The way that this guy was carrying his gun was so unsafe to me that no sane person would do that. So if I'm not thinking that he's a sane person, it's probably in my best interest in that position to keep an eye on this person. But I think that there's a lot of things like that. But again, by bringing attention to it with those people, sometimes you're initiating a situation that maybe they wouldn't have engaged in had you not said anything. We'll have to revisit that topic. That's a really good topic. And I'm always conflicted. I will say this. I'm always conflicted when I'm in a situation where I see something and I go, that's a red flag. I should watch this guy. And I'm conflicted. Should I say something or should I do something that makes this person alert that I know that there's something off or something amiss? And then I go, if I do that, it could cause a problem. I always default to this reality. Private security is a response. It's a deterrence and a response. The deterrence is us being there. The visual of us being at the door, the visual of us being on the location, walking around, interacting with people, that is a line of defense of deterrence, right? But short of that, most of what we do is simply responding to situations. We don't get to act on reasonable suspicion. We have to act with 100% probable cause. So short of something happening, we really don't have the authority to interact and engage. And that's what makes our job so difficult. I can see somebody walk in, and if they're felony carrying a firearm in a way that I'm like, okay, this is not good. Even though they're walking right up to the customer service desk, I can't profile this person, say something to them, deny them entry from the store when we allow firearms into that location. If we have a policy that allows firearms into that location, it's not as informative as we only allow firearms into this location if it's in a Kydex holster and it's worn in a certain position. That's not what it says, right? So that puts you a little bit behind the 8 ball. And you have to do things and interact with these people in a way that's not, again, profiling or putting you in a bad situation, but then also knowing that you might be out of position, you might be in a situation where something happens, and now you're having to respond to it way after the fact. Very, very good conversation piece that we will revisit. So I see that we've got quite a few comments on here. Unfortunately, I'm driving. I'm not going to try and read the comments. I would love to know your stance on this. We'll wrap it up with this. What would you have done if you're working in a retail establishment that has a lot of people that are either in there or coming into that location, a lot of children, a lot of kids, a lot of, good, hardworking people. You have a high population of homelessness and drug addicts that are in the area, and you saw someone, an elderly person, who doesn't seem, by the way that he's walking or carrying himself, that he can really take care of himself. He doesn't seem like he's moving very well. More than likely, he's worried about his safety, right? That's why he's carrying, but he's doing this in a very unsafe manner. Would you say something, or would you let it go? Would you approach in a respectful manner, or would you not? And if you do, if you choose to engage with this person and they become combative, how would you handle that? Do you think that we were in the right, or do you think that we were in the wrong? And I would love to know your stance on any aspect of this conversation in the comments, okay? All right, guys, I'm gonna go home, take a shower, take my beautiful wife out to dinner, and then I might do a podcast tonight about jiu-jitsu, because I just picked up the sickest gi. I'm so excited. Cannot wait to go and roll on Tuesday. I feel like that first day of school feeling when you get the new outfit. I've never been so excited to get my ass handed to me, because I can't wait to show off this new gi, man. I'm gonna kill them when I walk up in there, boy. Oh boy, I'm telling you, I got the dopest gi. So I might have to do a little podcast tonight, let y'all in on my drip. And yeah, so anyway, y'all have a great Sunday. If I don't see you later on tonight, just know that I love you. I hope you guys are having a great day. If you're working, if you're in the security industry and you're working, please be careful, be safe. Oh, one last thing. A lot of you guys don't know this, but I produce a podcast for law enforcement officers who've either been shot in the line of duty or who have shot someone in the line of duty. I do this helping out some retired police officers, and they interview people from all over the country. It's an amazing situation and position to be in the background and just hear these stories and hear how it affects the people on both sides of the equation. That's something that we need to talk about and we need to dive into, especially with me, because I have such strong feelings on this topic. So hopefully one day I can get the guys who do that on my podcast, and we can talk about some of the things that we've discussed on this podcast, some of the things that I've heard, and how that's giving me some understanding and insight into that side of the equation. Let's just say that. But again, different topic for a different day. All right, guys, have a great day. Be safe. Keep your head on the swivel, and as always, be great. All right, take care.